Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to a video, and this is a paid request for Phil. Sorry it took a while to get to this. To be perfectly honest, it was for me to kind of gear up and watching this because this is not much of a happy-go-lucky film. It's a fairly depressing film about the apathy of teenagers. It's not really a fun movie, but it is a good movie. But it's The River's Edge from 1986. He wanted me to do a commentary on it. Thank you, Phil. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, whether it be a topic, a reaction, a commentary, a review, a re-review, random thoughts, commentaries, video game playthroughs for an hour, or full playthrough, tier list, rankings, whatever the case, PayPal's usually the best bet. I do have a Cash App and a Patreon because people have asked about those. Thank you for that. And links for those, for all that, is down below in the info box, and I'll get to as soon as I can. I'm paused at the beginning. Let's get into it. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Now, to be perfectly honest, I haven't seen this film in a while, but I do vaguely remember certain things, and well, not a long while, but it's been a bit. But yeah, this is not your happy-go-lucky teenage film. This is not Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This is not a John Hughes movie. Of course, Crispin Glover, very young, early Keanu Reeves role. Yeah, but yeah, Crispin Glover, of course, by this point had done Friday the 13th Part 4. He probably got first billing because, well, Back to the Future came out in 1985, and this was 1986, so there you go. Back to the Future was like the biggest film of 1985, so okay, put him up first. Other people in the cast, and Crispin Glover, of course, would go on to be in the Willard remake and Charlie's Angels. Keanu Reeves, I mean, you know what happened to him. Bill and Ted, Matrix, Speed, John Wick, all that stuff. The writer of this film, I think, went on to write For the Boys, the Bette Midler James Caan film. It was one of the writers of Hideaway, with Jeff Goldblum in it. And then the director Tim Hunter, I think he directed the film Tex. The same author that wrote The Outsiders, I think, wrote the novel for that, I believe. And then Tex became a movie with Matt Dillon, I believe. Sorry if I'm wrong about that, but now this kid with the earring, is it Joshua Miller? They said his name, but he's the kid in Near Dark. He's the kid vampire. He's supposed to be much older. He's lived so many years, but he's in this kid's body. So that's the kid from Near Dark. Now, two things about it. I read up, I don't know if this is true, but I read up that this kid was actually supposed to be Corey Haim. He was cast, but something about he got pneumonia when they started, and I guess it screwed up the schedule so much they had to recast him. And yeah, I don't know if that's true, but apparently that was the case. So yeah, Corey Haim would have worked well in this role, but I mean, this kid does a good job as too. Also, I didn't. Well, actually, I did. I forgot about this. That kid, Near Dark was after this, I believe. He would be one of the writers of a film called The Final Girls, which I like. I think that's a pretty good. That's the one where this lady, her mom was a horror movie star. She died in this car accident. It's a showing of one of her mom's horror slasher films. Something happens and they get pulled into the movie, kind of like Last Action Hero. But yeah, the Final Girls I quite enjoyed, and that kid was one of the writers. Now this guy here with the flannel, I think is Daniel Roebuck. I would see him a lot in supporting roles. He was one of the cops in The Fugitive. I think he was on Tommy Lee Jones's team. I think he's the guy. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I think he's the guy. Bullshit. How about bullshit, Sam? I think that's him. I could be wrong, but I think that's him. I know he's in The Fugitive, but I think that's the part he plays. But he's got a mustache. I think. How about bullshit, Sam? Of course, we see this dead girl here. Actually, I want to make sure. Yeah, I don't want you guys using words around me that have no meaning. I'm taking the stairs and walking. How about bullshit, Sam? uh, so I just want to make sure. Yep, Daniel Roebuck is Biggs. Okay. So I just want to make sure that was right. So that's the same guy. So, of course, within the story, of course, this guy here on the left, definitely recognize him. I think sadly that guy has passed away. He's done a lot of movies, this guy. I want to get his name correct. Taylor Negron. Taylor Negron. He's a good character actor. The sadly passed away in 2015. I remember him the most as Milo, the bad guy in The Last Boy Scout. This gun has too many bullets. He's a guy fighting Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis knocks him off. What, does he knock him off? Or I think the helicopter shoot him? Either way, the guy falls into helicopter blades. He was, let's see, he was also in Biodome. He was in Angels in the Outfield, Nothing But Trouble. Yeah, he was one of the rich couple that Chevy Chase picks up, and that guy, his wife, Chevy Chase, Demi Moore, the four of them on the trip, and they get stopped by John Candy, and then into Vulcanvania. Yeah, Joshua John Miller's the name of that kid. But yeah, I was saying the whole story point is that this kid, Tim is the character's name. He has a very dangerous curve in his psyche that, honestly, if something's not done, he could end up just like Daniel Roebuck. Because there's this apathy, lack of humanity, where the kid's, his sister's doll just throws off a bridge and doesn't care anything about it. That's the doll they're looking for. Head up your ass if you want quiet. Yeah, it definitely shows the teenagers in such a destructive state of affairs where that a lot of times there's a lot of people that are like this where they're on this bad path in their life and things are just not going to work out. And guys, this little kid, you just want to punch in the face because he's such a asshole. Doesn't listen to his mom, threw his sister's doll in the river, and you just want to rip his damn earring out of his ear and put it up his nose. And of course, you got Crispin Glover there, along with Keanu Reeves. And it seems like Keanu Reeves, he's got a little bit of a head on his shoulder. He's still got that apathy. But of the group, there's a little bit of, I don't want to say morality. There's a little bit of, or hope. I don't know. There's a little bit of something there, like a teeny bit. Like if all the kids to be drawn to, he's the one that is the closest you could maybe. If anybody, if you say nobody, I don't blame you. But if there's somebody, it'd be perhaps Keanu. And of course, the other guy is Crispin Glover, who's always playing such an eccentric, weird type of guy. Good actor, Crispin Glover. I think Sally, his antics, his personality, a number of things made it where he just didn't. I mean, he worked, of course, like I said, Charlie's Angels and Willard remake, among others, but he didn't work as often as others. And from like the late 80s to early 90s, you didn't really see a whole lot from him, at least that I remember. Like that weird David Letterman, where he's a. The weird David Letterman show episode where he appeared on it, he starts doing these weird kicks and all this other stuff. And he's got like a wig on and almost hit David Letterman in the head, and David Letterman even walked off. And it's like, what the hell's going on here? And yeah, you look at the stuff after this film. A film in 1989 called Twister, which I've seen, which is trying to be like a weird, goofy. It's trying to be a comedy, but it's not really that funny. It's just about this weird, unlikable family that are just falling apart. Harry Dean Stan's in it, but he's not in it a whole lot. I might have reviewed the film, I just didn't care for it. 1990, Where the Heart Is, and Wild at Heart, David Lynch. He was in The Doors as Andy Warhol. Like these little smaller films like 30 Door Tea. What's the deal with Drape? Yeah, he's in it, but he doesn't have a whole lot to do. He was in the film Chasers. Directed by Dennis Hopper, funny enough, so I guess Dennis Hopper must have remembered him for this. Of course, there you see Dennis Hopper, may he rest in peace. This is around the time that he was away from Hollywood for a bit. And he wanted to kind of make a comeback. That's why he took jobs like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I'm sure this bit. My Science Project. Like, he took a number of roles to get back on his feet. And of course, they would lead to films like Speed in 1994. Before that, he was in Super Mario Brothers, 1993. Which I know he considered the worst film he was a part of. I'm like, you were in The Crow Wicked Prayer. I mean, you've been in way, way worse movies. I mean, maybe you say at the time he was, but I don't know. I'm sure I could find worse films he's been in. I mean, hell. Let me look at his filmography. let's see. Yeah, after Apocalypse Now, he did a few films like Teen in the Mountain. He was in The Osterman Weekend. Jungle Warriors. And then okay, My Science Project, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Blue Velvet, Hoosiers. And then, The Pickup Artist, which I forgot about that. Flashback in 1990 with Kiefer Sutherland. Boiling Point. I mean, I'd rather watch Super Mario Bros. Than Boiling Point. I'd rather watch it than. What was that? Flashback. A lot of these other films I haven't seen. Again, like after this, Beat the Deedles, Ticker, Land of the Dead. Man, not a whole lot that was great, it seemed like. At least to me. And of course, his friends don't, this guy outright says he killed someone, and of course, no one believes him. Because they're thinking, yeah, that just can't be the case. Just can't be the case at all. And yes, I find it interesting that Keanu Reeves is named Matt, which is my name. And you see these like three very different reactions. You have Daniel Roebuck, who's almost kind of proud of what he did. You don't fry. Yeah. Like indifferent to it. Almost like happy about it. Crispin is like all out and how to cover up, and for some reason compares up to Chuck Norris, and then Keanu Reeves is just kind of, it's just hard for him to believe in it. But at the same time, he's not going to authorities, he's not doing anything, he's not saying, telling anybody. I just you think of the time period where people were just thinking the youth of America was just going to go down the damn tubes, where there's a big sense of hopelessness, like there's nothing we can do, there's nowhere we can go. Just such drugs and then whatever else comes in between those two things. And whether it be the drug scene coming up, the AIDS stuff coming up, the war on drugs and all that stuff, the gains multiplying more and more so. And you would see that reflected in the movies, whether it be Class of 1984, whether it be the number of movies about, Danes in general, even films like The Principal with Belushi, James Belushi. Of course, that also followed through in the 90s. You had films like Dangerous Minds and The Substitute and films of that nature. In a way, even in like a much nicer way, The Breakfast Club. Like you see all these people from all these different backgrounds, and yet they're all sad, depressed in some way, shape, or form because their lives are screwed up in some way because of the parents, because of the indifference, or because of all the things they put upon the kids, whether it be the delinquency and cigarette burning of Judd Nelson's father, or the tough it out, be better than the rest, always win, never be second place, no matter who you run over, like Emilio Estevez's father, or you can never fail, you have to be an A plus no matter what, like Anthony Michael Hall's parents, and all this pressure that they put on the kids. In this world that probably seemed just much more hopeless. I say seem like because while technically I grew up in the 80s, I was born in 1983, and by the time this came out, 86, I'm 3 years old. So even though I was born in the 80s, I guess technically I grew up in the 90s, which had a bit of that, but I grew up in the era where internet became a thing. Like 1990, I'm 7 years old, and then by the time and get into high school, felt like computers were becoming a new thing. You could get on this thing called the internet. And 1999, I'm 16 years old. Some of the ages of some of these kids, and then wow, with the internet, you could talk to so many people, you converse with so many people, whatever your isolation or your loneliness or whatever your feelings, did you get them out onto the internet? Did you maybe deal with other people who share your sentiment so you don't feel alone? Even within our place like this, some of these kids seem alone. Now, yeah, this guy is so obvious. He's showing everybody this dead body. Look at that mark on the neck. And granted, folks may watch this today and understandably go, well, what the hell? Why don't all these people get to the cop, bring the cop right there, the dead body, that guy admitted it, and boom, the movie's over. The movie is over. Then what are people waiting for? What are people screwing around for? But that's really the story is trying to tell about this group of kids that just live in this weird viewpoint. I mean, to me, weird, but to normal people, weird. But just how these guys are just in this stupor. Almost like they're wastes of space. not knowing what the hell to do with their lives at this point. Come on, dude, you beat up Crispin Glover. Come on. Daniel Roebuck's character, I mean, there's something about him too where he's letting the guy go and going, he doesn't have to stay if he doesn't want to. And in another movie, perhaps a more typical movie, a much more conventional movie, it would be Daniel Roebuck. Maybe if the kids find this out and Daniel Roebuck sees their witnesses and he's hiding out but then trying to kill these people one by one. And yet that's not the case here. Not the case here at all. Once again, showcasing kind of the dark recesses of humanity where even these kids, there's these poor creatures in this water and they're just, let's try to shoot them with BB guns or where the hell they're shooting at it when they did nothing wrong. Tell this guy, this fucking kid, think he's Bruce Lee, man. Take that away from you, stick it up your ass. Don't worry, it's not yours. And see, even though, like, all of them are at fault in some way, shape, or form and being either complacent, not immediately turning the guy into the cops, all that stuff. So I'm just looking at the arcade machines in the back. I haven't been to an arcade in forever. I don't know what, I mean, that's a, I guess for that game, I guess they couldn't get an actual game, so they had like, there's like a bunch of kids' drawings spliced together quickly of lightning and the sky or stuff. That's pretty sad. I guess maybe, I don't know. I guess maybe if they tried to get permission, they would look at the script and go, "No, we don't want it in this movie." If it was like weird signs or something, okay, but not this kind of stuff. So they don't make an anonymous call in this thing called, I guess you'd kind of call a phone booth, or how you want to call it. Not quite a booth, but a payphone. Yeah, a payphone. People might know. It's crazy you watch films like this. And it's like that TV. There'd be younger people going, "What the hell kind of TV is that?" It's like, well, that's the TV we had back in the day. I had one of those type of TVs. It wasn't black and white, but it was. You had to get up, and we didn't have remote control. You had to get up and go. Click, click. Granted, it didn't matter because we only had 4 channels. So here's Keanu, at least trying to be decent to someone. In this case, his sister. Probably because his sister's. I mean, really is the only innocent person in this movie is the sister. And maybe almost in a way Keanu Reeves knows that and sees that. Sorry for being silent. I'm trying to listen to some of the dialogue and stuff, but I was just saying before, like all the stuff that people take for granted wasn't that way back in the day. Like payphones, man, fuck, TVs. It didn't matter because we only had like 3, 4 channels to click. But even that phone there, look at that cord, ready to strangle him. Trying to think what the hell he's holding. Look like a big ladle piece. Black ladle piece. I don't know what the hell he's holding. And for some reason, again, Crispin Glover just adamant to do all this stuff and clean up the crime scene for some reason. And for some reason. Sitting around figuring out call you. Yeah, I bet you're just sitting around with your hand ready to be in your pants. Then you think about this. Look at the sister. Like she's got apathy and crying over a doll, making a little monument, a little grave for an object that was never alive. And yet you have this real life person dead, rotting away, and nobody else. Of course, the little girl doesn't know it, but none of these people can go and feel something. Tears, feel anger, feel just tell the cop nothing, you know. And just shows the difference between the two, the gigantic difference. Like this body for Crispin Glover is just a piece of property that needs to be moved from one place to another to help his buddy, and as if it's no big deal. And again, I'm sure people could look at this and go, what the hell are these people and what's their problem? What is their major malfunction? I mean, of course, nowadays it'd be like, okay, you get your phones, you record everything, you record the person, oh, you admit it, go to the cops, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's the whole point. The whole point is that these characters, the way they behave, the way... I keep mentioning the word apathy. Lack of remorse, lack of love, complete, a lot of times just indifference at times. Yeah, Crispin Glover, I'm sorry, I was listening to him as dialogue. He just, I will say, I mean, there's a reason why people would cast him. He does work in his eccentric roles. Idea whether it be Back to the Future, Friday the 13th Part 4, this movie, Willard. I mean, there's a reason why he was hired for even this TV movie he did with Michael J. Fox. Was High School USA? What was it called? I want to say, yeah, High School USA from 1983. Which had Anthony Edwards, yeah, Michael J. Fox, Crispin Glover, Anthony Edwards, Todd Bridges. It was kind of fun just because of all the familiar people in it. I mean, it's a TV movie. It's not going to be deemed a classic, but still. So Keanu did try, just he got there too damn late. Should have got there a lot earlier, but, you know, at least someone is trying. Now this guy who's the detective, I don't recognize him, that's Tom Bauer. He passed away this year, actually, in May. Would sit there and go, why does that guy look familiar, that cop? And I said, oh, of course, he's in Die Hard 2. Oh, there's the body. Die Hard 2 is Marvin. This right here on the right. It's Marvin from Die Hard 2. The guy who helped John McClane get through the airport, show him the little tunnels and stuff he could crawl through. Man knows how to make a bargain. God knows how to negotiate. He knows how to drive a hard bargain. Now, he's done other stuff too. He was in Beverly Hills Cop 2 as the character Russ Fielding. He was in True Believer with James Woods. He was in Raising Cain with John Lithgow. He's done other stuff. Again, the one movie I'm going to remember him the most is Die Hard 2 as Marvin. You got to help John McClane. He's John McClane's ally, so hard not to remember that. And he mentions what I said before. You saw this body and you did not act immediately. And that right there is an accessory. Accessory because not saying something immediately, you can't inadvertently or on purpose, you try and do a cover up on the body, cover up of a crime. And that is a very serious point of contention. Now, Dennis Hopper's character here with his mannequin doll, very unique, weird type of thing. Now, once again, I don't know if this is true, but just like apparently Corey Haim was supposed to be the lead, that kid. Which I say lead, I mean, he's in it sporadically. He's not in it. You know, he pops in every once in a while. Apparently, at one point, this was going to be John Lithgow. Wish I could see, maybe seen films like Blowout and other movies, but instead, Dennis Hopper got the role. I thought Dennis Hopper does a good job here. Especially when you find out that Dennis Hopper killed his girlfriend back in the day, and so you have two cycles here, but one, there's a little bit more to it in terms of Dennis Hopper's character. So Dennis Hopper is this crazy guy that killed his girlfriend even though he deeply loved her. But you could tell that there's a certain sense of despair, a certain sense of guilt, a certain sense of, like, I wish I could take it back. Like, see this, like, certain tension, what he's doing with the gun here. He doesn't seem like a happy-go-lucky guy. There's a feeling there. There's a sense of feeling, a sense of, call it grief, call it regret, call it anything you want. There's something there that maybe you say a bit of humanity peeking through. On the flip side, Daniel Roebuck, you never see that. You never see that type of guilt, that type of, man, what did I do? It's just, it's nothing. Just like taking the garbage out. You know, when the guy's, oh, she was okay. Oh, whatever. I think he tells later about how he killed her and he's like, oh, like being happy about it. And Dennis Hopper's like, even he's like, this guy's too far and too much of a monster, too much damaged goods, too much. It needs to be put down like a rabid dog. Like a dog with rabies. Where do my children go at night? Why don't you know, lady? You're the damn parent. Why don't you know? So I'm just listing this between Keanu Reeves and Leo Rossi. I was laughing because the way Keanu was like, motherfucker, food eater, like as if that was the big insult was food eater, which I thought was pretty funny. Food eater. I just like that food eater. And Leo Rossi, I mean, who plays the, I will relish this. This kid deserves it. It's a good question. That little kid is a turd in the wind. There's a bullet to the head. But yeah, Leo Rossi right there as the called the mom's boyfriend. Good actor. Really enjoy him as an actor. From Halloween 2, come sit on my face. Don't you cry. I need your pie. Halloween 2, that's a fun character as Bud. The other one, Maniac Cop 2, he plays the other psycho that looks a bit like Charles Manson, who wants to be an ally of the Maniac Cop. And of course, you see the Bruce Lee poster, so I guess that makes a bit more sense as to why he was playing with the nunchucks. Now, I know Leo Rossi did these Relentless movies. I wish there was a box set of those Relentless films. I have never seen Relentless 2, 3, and 4. I would like to see them one day, because they all star... Well, Leo Rossi's in the first one, but that's more... Robert Loggia, who's in films like Over the Top and Independence Day, and Judd Nelson, who is the villain. But yeah, Relentless 2 and 3 and so forth. I'd be really curious to what those films are like. Does Leo Rossi becomes pretty much the star of those films? Which I'm surprised they got so many damn sequels. I guess they did well enough that, they kept releasing a couple of them. No, I don't think any of them were directed by William Lustig, though. Other directors. One of them has William Forsythe as the villain. One of them has Ray Sharkey as the villain, I believe. Oh no, that he's the Miles O'Keefe is the villain. Miles O'Keefe. So part 2 is Miles O'Keefe, part 3 is William Forsythe, and part 4 is I don't know. I don't know, maybe it's a female villain this time. I don't know. But anyway. But yeah, Leo Rossi, one of those franchises never, guess you never would have thought would have been a franchise, Relentless. Just people barely remember the first one. So, but I guess their thought is, well, would anyone really care or buy a Relentless box set? I guess they have a point, but I would. But Leo Rossi is a good actor, character actor. He's just not going to be brought up like other actors are. And of course, the other part of the story is that the kid's going to get a gun. Is he looks up to that Daniel Roebuck character, looks up to him, doesn't like his own brother Keanu Reeves, and is going to get a gun to, at the end, potentially shoot Keanu Reeves. And that's where you get the scene where either you're going to be like Daniel Roebuck, because that's what it's going for, that this kid is going to turn into another Daniel Roebuck. He's going to turn to another version of him, where he just doesn't care, doesn't give a crap, will do stuff just because. You're in for a great surprise. Shotgun to the face. Yeah, these are where the two kids are going to try to get the gun. While again it's definitely not your typical film. It's definitely a bit darker than I think people expected. Especially if you go in expecting. Well, I doubt no one would think this is John Hughes, but sorry, I keep being silent because the character's dialogue is interesting. Like Dennis Hopper. No, I'm not a psycho. Nah, psycho. No, she's a doll. I know that. But you killed someone. Are you psycho? Yeah, probably. What else would I be? So I guess if you think about it, you have kind of three generations of a type of psychosis. You have the older Dennis Hopper, the depraved teen Daniel Roebuck, and the problem child, and guess they all reach their own conclusions. Dennis Hopper's well past his fault and what he did. And while he's a bit Looney Tunes and crazy, there's some kind of some kind of remorse, some kind of do shit is done and then you die. And sorry I keep going silent. I keep listening to some of the dialogue in here because, at the very least, this does have interesting characters, and especially because of the actors who play them. I mean, it's kind of hard to hate a film with Crispin Glover and Keanu Reeves and Dennis Hopper and and etc. But I was saying you have these three generations. You got Dennis Hopper, who's well past his prime of he killed someone because he loved her, and he smokes and he does all this other stuff. But if it's not remorse, if it's not guilt, then it's something else of kind of, I don't know. Enough is enough, and time to stop all this foolishness. And then Daniel Roebuck is the guy who, I mean, he sounds like a nihilist. If he's not, then at least someone close. And then, of course, the third one I said the kid. Like I said, their own conclusions. One turns himself in. One is so far gone. Someone ends his life because there's nothing else that was going to be done with this guy. And one is able to stop before things get too far. And whether that kid gets better or whether he goes back 5, 10 months, 10 years, whatever, this is only time will tell. I mean, I wouldn't say this is like a cliche like plot where, okay, this kind of contrivance happens, they get to this point, or follows the familiar beats of your stereotypical movie. That's probably, that among other reasons why a lot of people kind of, at least critically, took to the film. A harrowing tale of aimless youth. It generates considerable tension and urgency thanks to strong performances from a stellar cast. Gene Siskel, it was the 7th best film on his list. Roger Ebert, 3.5 out of 4 stars. The best analytical film about a crime since The Onion Field and In Cold Blood. Other critics, a contemporary horror story about teenagers, but it contains no slasher scenes or serial homicides. Its monsters are all too real. A bitter and disturbing film deemed by performances which feature a natural, incredible aura. The year's most riveting, most frightening horror film, even if it doesn't really belong in the same category with any acknowledged classics of the genre. The mysterious vision of youth since the alarming Brazilian movie Pixel. River's Edge pitches the audience inside this nightmare world of affectless middle-class kids. Let's just watch them wallow their way through moral dilemmas that can only half articulate. "2015 Salon deemed the film the darkest teen film of all time." Kim Newman says this is the definitive killer kid movie. Moral without moralizing, blackly comic without tastelessness, and acutely tuned into the way dead-end teens talk. A Blu-ray from Kino Lorber was in 2015. Let me see, were there any features on this? Kind of curious. Let's see. No, just a commentary from the director, Tim Hunter, and a trailer. Huh. Damn. Not much of anything. Once again, I mean, even Keanu Reeves, like, a typical film would be, gotta call the cops, gotta stop that guy, tackle the guy and get the gun out of his hands, stop him from holding the gun and tailing Negron, the guy who works at the store. No, they just get the beer and he pays for it, but just walks away and that's it. And it's kind of funny, Dennis Hopper going, well, you know, he was got any buzzing bottles? Like, to him, he's thinking like nothing is really happening. I can't help it. Anytime this character, I just want to just punch right through his fucking thick skull. It's not the actor, it's just the character. Which is supposed to be. He's supposed to be such a sleazeball shit character. So little kids find the weed and they're going to have some fun with that. Jesus. Just give more of a shitload of bullets. Yeah, maybe throughout all this seems like Dennis Hopper, maybe we'll finally get to the point of this guy's just too much. He's too much. He's too far. He's too far gone. He's just can't deal with him anymore. even though in this scene here, like Keanu Reeves and the girl, they're talking about, didn't you feel something? And Keanu Reeves kept having the girl's face in his head, and at least he tried to do something. At least among the group, he actually accomplished or tried, but still is that effect of like their soul or something has been dampened tremendously because of their dead end life, their home, whatever the case may be. Jesus, how many pills he taking? Jesus. God damn, man. I think when I first saw this, I assumed that at one point he was going to crash that car and die. Like, somehow, some way, that Crispin Glover's character was going to get killed off. Just shows how far gone these two people are in different ways. On the one hand, Dennis Hopper, like it's like this girl who's like he knows she's a doll, but somehow trying to keep this connection with the doll makes it seem as if I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Definitely a unique character that Dennis Hopper plays. So you see the difference between the two. Downer Roebuck is smiling and laughing, and then look at Dennis Hopper's eyes. Sorry, I'm just listening to the dialogue between Dennis Hopper and Downer Roebuck. I think you see how they both tell their stories in very different ways. Dennis Hopper, you just see the regret, you see the angst, you see, I loved her, but somehow, some way, some shape, some form in his mind, he just pulled that trigger on this woman he seemed like he truly loved, and you're psycho enough to do that, but that even cracked him up even more that it's like, in a way, this girl is almost living vicariously through this doll While this guy killed a lady and felt alive, and you see Dennis Hopper's face just. He did not feel alive like Daniel Roebuck did. He felt. You hear Dennis Hopper say, "I'll be your friend." You see, like, his face kind of. Dennis Hopper's face kind of went back and forth, and either he feels some kind of. Either horror, but at the same time, some kind of understanding where. Yeah, you don't want to become like me, you don't want to live like me, or be worse. So, best to just end them right there, right now, and be done with it. This guy took so many damn pills. He fell asleep in his damn car right in the middle of the damn road. These kids smoked so much weed or whatever they did, and they passed out. You got little kids smoking weed passing out. You got people, I mean, even here, these two had sex, but it's like you got drunk and all this other more serious business to attend to. But of the, other than the little girl, but of the characters, I guess that's the one you would, I don't know. Yes, it's a pretty bleak movie. Just Dennis Hopper is kind of having his. I don't know if you want to say come to Jesus moment, however you want to put it. I guess put this dog to sleep type of thing. And you're just waiting for it. There you go. The deed is done. Again, either A, he didn't want this guy becoming him, or he felt that was the most humanized thing to do, is to put this guy out of his misery. I mean, I guess part of me wanted, part of me, oh yeah, he doesn't want this guy to become, this guy was far gone, he was even worse than him, but the way they play it off, it seems like he just more of, this is the humane thing for him to do. It is however you want to interpret it. It's fucking kids. Steal his fucking shit. And that's the thing with this kid is that I guess on purpose you never see anything good, positive, inkling of hope throughout the entire film from this little kid. So maybe that's why it made it hard to believe that he would not have shot Keanu Reeves' character, because we've seen nothing else of a glimmer from that character. Damn, I just realized we're getting close to the end. There are 20 minutes left, so it didn't feel that long of a movie. I mean, we're pretty much at the finale here. They don't find out that guy's dead. The brothers come confront Keanu Reeves. And things would be pretty much over. Sorry, it hasn't been much of a commentary or me, talking through it, but it is not really the most happy-go-lucky film to talk about. So, and it's not a bad film, so I'm not going to goof on it. It's not a film I grew up with, so I don't have like nostalgic memories. And this is probably maybe the second time I've seen it. As weird as it sounds, that was just a real moment there, where the mom is just I mean, she's not doing any people favors. I mean, to be fair, she hasn't really acted like a mom either. She hasn't really done anything except worry and cry. But what I meant by a real moment is that she's like, I'm bad with this. That's a pretty horrible thing to say. You're all mistakes. Because what did the little girl do? The little girl didn't do anything. It's like, I give up. I'm going to leave you all like I left your father. And the little girl's like, don't give up, mommy. I mean, like, yeah, what the hell did the little girl do, you bitch? I mean, with that bitch of a mom, no wonder all your kids are fucked up. But I do see, Sally, someone saying that, and I don't agree with it. I mean, that little turd Tim, Joshua Miller's character, I agree with him being a damn mistake. Should have been a stand on a carpet. Dad should have pulled out and be on the track, the bat, or keep in the sack. Fuck Tim. But as for the other characters, I mean, and that also shows you a bit of Keanu Reeves, where it's like hearing his mom break down like that, kind of in a weird way, sobered him up. Whereas like after like this, then it's like, oh, settle down, mom. And it's like telling his mom everything's gonna be okay. We'll talk later. But it didn't come off as like a Lifetime Channel or Hallmark moment. I don't know how else to put it, but so what's your excuse, teacher? I mean, the teacher is making this speech saying that he's at fault too, but why don't you fucking explain it then, teachers? Is you want to lecture? You don't care and I don't care. Well, okay, teach. Why don't you care then? But this is that thing of, let's say, I don't know, let's say tomorrow, whoever's watching, you hear about, I mean, no, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I would feel something about it. But it's not talking about me. It's talking about. But it's not even like the teacher as well. I don't know. Just this whole thing of. I don't know how to put it. You all fucked up. Maybe that's the play. You're all fucked up. You're fucked in the head. Everybody's fucked in the head. Everybody's crazy in the movie. The mom is crazy. The teacher's crazy. Dennis Hopper's crazy. It's a damn crazy world. You all fucked up. Jesus is coming. Are you ready? Not gonna be ready for anybody in this town. Jesus ain't coming to this town. Jesus looked at this town and be like, fuck this. Let's go to the next town and see what happens. Let's see what happens. I guess, how do I put it? Something I could, well, I don't want to say relate to because I don't relate to these characters, but I was thinking of, I won't mention the person's name. I keep not saying anything because I'm listening to the dialogue, but in high school when I graduated, there was a female student who was in my class who I barely knew. Like, it's a small enough school that you know everybody, but you didn't know a whole lot of people. At least I didn't. Because I was very much in my shell in school. I was very much in my shell, kept to myself a lot. But there was this girl who, during graduation, she was in a wheelchair, and I think she was pregnant. And at the same time, I guess that could be my sense of apathy. Where, here's someone who is a classmate who I would see in, class from time. Again, never really talked to much, but at the same time, as someone within the vicinity, and I'm like, okay, this person, they're sick enough, they're in a wheelchair, and they're pregnant, and all this other stuff. I think she was. Again, the fact that I don't know for sure kind of proves that point as well, that I wasn't even that adamant to look into it. To look into it and to follow up on it and to give best wishes or anything in between. I guess that could be an example of apathy. Maybe it's not quite the same as the characters in this movie, but that's the closest I could think about in this. Well, that's someone showing apathy there. There you go. Which is kind of, the craziest thing of that group. The first to show. I just not the first, but the closest show is. They remember at first second thinking Eddie Secchi's gonna lift the gun, just shoot him. That'd be some really like a boom ending, but I guess for him that's all it took, just to say I'm your brother. Like I said, I think what it is just because I saw just how terrible this kid was. It's hard for me to believe. I know this sounds stupid. Because of course he's a kid and it's his brother, but it's like no hope for him. He didn't feel a thing. I don't like killing people, but sometimes it's necessary. And he felt it was necessary to kill Daniel Roebuck. Because there was no hope for him. And, I hate to say it, but Dennis Hopper kind of has a point on that. Some may be dismayed that I say that, but I mean, there you go. And I mean, you can't even say this is really wrapped up in a tidy bow because hell, you don't know what's going to happen with these characters. You don't know what's going to happen with this kid and if he's really going to change his ways or whatnot. That's it. I think that's it. If they showed a little bit of Corey, not Corey, God, I keep thinking of Corey Haim because he was. If they showed a little bit of maybe how Joshua John Miller, Tim's character, and Keanu Reeves' character, how you saw them a little bit as brothers, a little bit of camaraderie, a little bit to show that there's a little. I don't know. Like I said, the way that kid is, the way he reacts, the way he is like problem child times 10. Like, totally the good son seemed as fucking likable as that kid, and at least it fit with that character. Here he's like, no, this it's hard for me to buy him not pulling the trigger. I don't know. I know I'm alone in that, but So now we have the funeral, and maybe wonder if maybe finally they'll show a little bit of apathy for what transpired with this person. But I mean, it's not going to magically change their lifestyle. I mean, Leo Rossi's still going to be there, and Keanu Reeves' home. Crispin Glover, who knows what's going to happen with that character? Joshua Miller and Keanu, I guess you're assuming they'll work things out. Really, the only thing is Keanu Reeves and that girl, they're going to be an item. But just, like I said, it's a movie where it's not a happy-go-lucky film. It's not a film that's going to make you feel good. It's a film that definitely makes you feel something, though. At least there's that. And it's kind of a hard film to do a commentary because it's very dialogue heavy. It's very character oriented. With some people that are not really the most likable of people. And you kind of try and begin this mindset of who these type of characters are that you're hoping to God you're not one of. That maybe, possibly, if you look deep within, if you see a sense of a kind of apathy you have. I guess, for example, like, okay, but that's different, but was it Chad McQueen passed away as I'm recording this? I have I feel sorry that someone died, but at the same time, because I didn't know him, I didn't watch his movies. Except, what was it? He was in a minute of The Karate Kid. I know he's the son of Steve McQueen, but like because I didn't know him and I didn't see his movies and stuff, I just in a way I had a certain sense of apathy, which is wrong. And I'm admitting like that's sad that someone died, but I didn't feel anything because of that disconnection. Only this is amped up because this is someone they didn't know and they still have this disconnection. And it's not really giving any clear answers as to why they have this disconnection. It's just how these folks, these kids are, and just how it is. I don't know how else to put it. But with that said, man, happy-go-lucky movie, you know. Jesus, I need to like take some happy pills or something, watch some porn, or just jack off, or fucking watch some Ninja Turtle cartoons, or fucking something. So I don't feel I want to put a drill in my brain for. But it is a good movie. Good performances. It is a good movie. Gotta say that. I would say Dennis Hopper was the most interesting character, but cool to see Keanu Reeves in an early role. Cool to see Crispin Glover doing this eccentric, quirky thing. It doesn't try to sugarcoat stuff. Gotta admire that. Doesn't go over the top on violence, or all of a sudden there's car chases. I love all that type of stuff, but it's not doing that made it feel a bit more real. Definitely more down to earth. And definitely a movie worth watching at least once because of the drama involved. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.